And now we've come to the Series 4 finale, Goodbye Sarah Jane Smith. And you can tell by the trailers, the title and the episode, this episode was clearly meant to be the final episode of the show. Even I felt like it was the end at the time when it was released. Of course I didn't want the show to end, but now, after the show has ended and Elizabeth Sladen's passing, I really wish this was the end of the show. And in my opinion, it seems like the perfect curtain call. After her previous adventure, Sarah Jane has begun developing a form of dementia, and she realizes that her ability to defend the Earth is diminishing. A seemingly suitable replacement, Ruby White, has arrived on Bannerman Road, but as always, can Sarah Jane really trust the keys to defending the Earth in her hands? And what will happen to Bannerman Road if Sarah Jane leaves? Now, unlike all the other finales, the stakes do seem really high in this episode. References to past series, past characters, Clyde holding a gun, Dark Hordes, meteors falling down, a highly cinematic look, and choir singing in every single music soundtrack. It even has the entire cast actually prove themselves as Sarah Jane's family and team. This is definitely a climactic end to the series. If Series 5 didn't happen, this would have been a perfect end to the show. And what better villain for a series finale than someone who has the same talents and personality as Sarah Jane? Ruby White is such an enjoyable villain. Julie Graham, who plays her, is having a freaking ball with her role. At the time I was thinking if she wasn't the main villain, I actually thought she was going to take over. I would say it was obvious that she is the villain, but then again the execution and the performance is what makes the character stand out. Quick note, her stomach in the fireplace? I cannot deny, that is pretty disgusting. Plus, I think Mr. White makes me laugh, even though he's a small white version of Mr. Smith. And what he is programmed to do is very clever. Do I wish the Trickster would have made a better villain in the finale? Sure. But I still liked Ruby for what she was. Maybe Ruby and the Trickster would have been a good team to take down Sarah Jane. If that's not great enough, we see the return of all our recurring characters, including Luke Smith and K9 in his final televised appearance. Just a little nitpick though, why did Luke and Clyde have to be such dicks to Ronnie? Where did that come from? What did Ronnie have to do with Sarah Jane leaving? And I'm not kidding, that's never brought up again. And for a series finale, there are so many scenes which feel like a proper closure for all of our characters. Sarah Jane's farewell message, K9 and Mr. Smith's teamwork, Geeta's emotional talk with Ronnie, Clyde's near-to-death experience, the gang getting in a car after saving the day, and I can never stop crying inside in all of those moments. But the reason I think this finale is better is that this does raise an interesting question. What would happen if Sarah Jane did get old? What if she did forget? What if she did get demented? What if she did have to quit? This is the one episode that has a real life occurrence that most people do get. This is when the show actually gets to become real. I found out a while ago that it was around the time of production that Elizabeth Sladen's health began to deteriorate, eerily similar to her character's plight in the episode. So all that sadness and pain she gave in the episode was real. My god, that is heartbreaking. Clearly this would have been the final story of the show. And not just because it was the last broadcasted episode before Elizabeth Sladen's passing, but to me, this episode proves that to me, this is how this iconic character has become real. That's how great this episode is. It felt like a perfect bookend to Sarah Jane, to Ronnie, to Clyde, to Luke, K9, all of the characters. Especially when it comes to the team, seeing how Luke, Clyde and Ronnie have evolved throughout all 4 seasons. How they've grown and how they were able to defeat the enemy. This is a well-made character-driven story for all of the characters. And to me, this is a perfect end to a perfect series of the Sarah Jane Adventures. So there you go guys, that's the end of Series 4. Is it still great? Definitely. Sure, it may have some problems, but this series still stands out to me and to some other fans. Do I wish Series 5 wasn't made? Absolutely, but I'll talk about it when I get to it. Speaking of which, Join me next week on the final week counting down to the Attic Reunion Convention in Cardiff, including 2 top 10 videos, one featuring the untold stories. Now I've got to get myself a drink for this one, because this is going to be a tough one. See you then.